Sister Chigudu, Letmore,
Yep.
my colleague, my friend.
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining me on the show today.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for being the first nurse on the show. Hopefully we're going to get many more. Before we start, how many languages do you speak, Letty?
2.
2. What are they?
Or fluently 2.
Yeah?
English and Shona.
Shona. Okay.
And then a bit of Debele, but I wouldn't brag about it.
Okay. Tell me about growing up in Zimbabwe. What was it like?
For me, it was hard. It was tough. I wasn't born into a wealthy family, or even, what can I say? I was born into a poor family. That's exactly what I want to say.
Yeah.
Because my dad was a security guard.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a general worker.
Right.
But amazingly, that time,
Yeah.
his salary was enough to support a family of 5.
5. So this you had 4 other siblings.
No, 3 siblings.
3 siblings.
My mom, my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, and also extended family.
And what security guard, like, what type of whereabout, what type of jobs do they do?
Like, he will just be posted where the company wants to post him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so how did you end up where you are today? What happened? Take us from the beginning. What was school like? Whereabout in Zimbabwe are you from?
Okay, I grew up in Harare. That's where I was born,
Okay.
raised, went to school. Everything was in Harare.
Yeah. Harare is the capital city.
It's the capital city, yeah.
Yeah.
So the first part of my life was in a place called Houghton Park.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I did my primary school.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we moved to a high density area called Mbare.
Mm-hmm.
In comparison, it would be like Alex,
Okay.
Tembisa
Okay.
kind of vibe, the ghetto.
Right. Is it? So it's the ghetto equivalent.
Yeah, equivalent. Like, but it's like one of the oldest, I think, and
Yeah.
well known
Okay.
in Zimbabwe. Yeah, that's where I did my high school at Harare High School.
Do they call it townships like how they do in South Africa, or?
Nah, no, they
Okay.
don't. Here we just call them by name. That's
All
it.
right.
Yeah. So, yeah, everything was fine. Like I said, I was not coming from a wealthy family.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my dad made sure that we went to school, the 3 of us, although we needed to have social services to chip in
Yeah.
for school fees and everything
Right.
until we finished. So,
social services is what we might call grants and social grants and things in South Africa.
yeah,
Right.
equivalent, yeah.
You're the oldest,
No, the youngest.
the last born.
Yeah, last born tendencies.
Brothers, sisters, what did you
One
have?
brother, one sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the baby of the family.
The baby of the family.
And did you look up to your siblings, or did they motivate you, or were you the shining star of the family?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
So, like, what happened is we are not like many years apart.
Okay.
So I think in the 5 years, my mom had 3 of us. So
Okay.
my brother and my sister, there's a year in between them.
Right.
And then I came 3 years after my brother. So we were like just sort of like the same age range, if I should say.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of, sibling fighting, sibling quarrels,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So what did you do for fun in Zimbabwe growing up as a kid?
Dude, we played in the street like up until 10, 11, 12 in the evening.
Playing what?
Games.
Yeah.
Skipping rope. There are other games that we used to play. I don't think I would have an English name for them.
Yeah. Well, describe some of them. Like, what do you do?
Like we make teams, 2 teams, and then the other team is inside the other. It's sort of like tag.
Okay.
Okay, there's tag, and then there was like, you throw a ball, you try to hit someone. If you hit them, they're out.
Okay, yeah.
And then obviously we'd do hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was fun. Like I had a very fun childhood.
Yeah.
It was safe.
Right.
Like we would play in the streets. Our parents wouldn't even be worried that, okay, the kids are going to disappear or the kids are going to be where we just played.
Yeah.
When it's time to go home, you just go. Or
And
when you're tired, you just go home.
So this is while the parents are at work?
At home. It was in the evening,
like during holiday times? Or evening
in
also?
In the evenings, even after school.
Right.
Yeah.
And then would somebody come outside and say, hey, Letty, come, it's time to go, come
Not
home?
necessarily, no. Maybe school days or... But I don't even remember that happening, but yeah.
Okay. So how was school? Were you good at it academically?
Yeah, I think.
Or were you one of the naughty kids in the back with it?
I wasn't one of the naughty kids, but I used to be very talkative in class.
Okay.
But
like
school was good.
Were you the one making people laugh in class and all
No,
this?
not make them laugh, just like whisperings.
And co-ed school, or all boys, all girls?
All girls, yeah. All boys, all girls, yeah.
So you were at all girls school?
No, mixed.
Mixed. Okay, okay.
Mixed.
And so you're doing okay in school, and then how do you end up getting into nursing?
Okay, so I think I would say nursing found me
Yeah.
because never in my life did I dream that I want to be a nurse.
Mhm.
Ever. Even if I saw a nurse, even if I saw anything related to nursing, I never thought I would be nursing.
Yeah.
None, not even one day. I'm not even gonna say I saw something and it was like, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Nah.
What did you want to do?
Okay, initially, primary school, I wanted to be an air hostess,
Okay.
but I didn't know what they do. I
Right.
was just,
So where did you get the idea from?
fascinated by the way they dress. They look so poised. They were always clean. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be dressed like that. I want to look like that. I want to walk like that.
Right.
But I didn't know what they did until I went to high school.
Hold on. So you used the word ghetto, right?
Yeah.
You brought up there. So where do you ever see an air hostess?
On TV?
Ah, okay. So did you guys watch a lot of TV growing up?
Yeah, we did.
What was it like? The shows we get in South Africa, or was it?
Yeah. I think and we also used to watch like South African shows, some of them,
Yeah.
if they're aired, but we used to watch wrestling, things like that, movies,
Okay.
cartoons. Yeah, a lot of them.
WWE and WWF
Rambo, Raw, whatever.
and South African shows like sitcoms, Generations, and all that stuff. It didn't have not really Isidingo.
There was Isidingo, I remember, and Generations as well.
So you're this little girl growing up in Harare, and you watch TV and you see this air hostess, and you're like, "Wow, that looks cool. I want to do that."
Yeah, the dressing was just like, okay, I want to look like that. I want to walk like that.
Right.
Yeah, I want to look good.
And you never really ever wanted to be a nurse. So how did it just call you? How did it call you?
Okay, nursing found me. Like,
yeah, how did it find you?
If you believe in prayer, then
yeah.
So, okay, so what happened is after A level, which is almost equivalent to your matric.
Okay.
So we finish, we apply to universities. Some get, responses. I got a response. I didn't want what they gave me because it was going to be a degree in teaching. I did not want to do that.
So what do you apply for? Like, where do you apply and what do you apply for after your A-levels?
University. You apply to different universities, but the common one for us was the University of Zimbabwe because it was in Harare.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's the only university I applied to. Then they were going to give me a degree in teaching something.
So you applied, you put down teaching?
No.
Right, how does it work?
For me.
Oh.
Yeah. So I didn't want it.
So it's not like, so in South Africa, I think what we still do to this day is you think of what you sort of want to do and you apply for those specific things.
Yeah.
And then the university comes back to you and says, sorry, or yes, well done,
you didn't
congrats.
make it.
Now, in Zim, it works differently.
When I applied, I actually don't remember if I put anything else down. But when it came back, I didn't want it.
Okay.
So here it's back. I tell my mom, like, I'm not going to do this. If I want to do teaching, I would rather just go to a college.
Okay.
Not to university for teaching. So my mom was like, okay, it's fine. Let's see what happens next. And then during that time, I decided, okay, let me try aircraft engineering with the Air Force.
Okay.
Right? So I applied at the Air Force. But then my husband, my sister, her husband was in the army. My cousin brother was also in the army.
Yeah.
And then they discouraged me.
Yeah.
They were like, you won't survive the training. It's like intense.
Of being an aircraft engineer.
You have to go through army training before you...
Oh, the military?
Yes.
Okay.
So they were like, you won't survive.
So you decided not to do it or not to apply?
I sort of like tried.
Yeah.
But then at the end, I was like, you know what, let me just drop it. So I dropped it.
Okay.
And then that's me. That's me now. We're like at home.
Yeah.
And then I had gotten a job at the grain marketing board as a clerk. So I was like, okay, let me do it in the meanwhile.
Right.
Whilst I figure out what I really want to do.
The grain marketing board?
Yeah, that's like, they do the whole grains and thingy. So when farmers are done with farming, they harvest, they take it there.
Okay.
To the grain marketing board, yeah.
Right.
It's a government thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during that time, almost we are in the ghetto, we visit each other, I'm visiting my friends. So I go to my friend's house, her name was Rumbi. So I go there, we were talking, what's happening, what are you going to do, stuff like that. So when I get there, she's in a conversation with the dad. The dad is asking her to apply for nursing.
Okay.
She's like, no, I don't want to do nursing. So then I'm like, okay, where is the advert? Because I didn't see it. She gives me the paper. There's the nursing thingy. I just looked at it, but I was not interested. And the closing date was the following day.
Okay.
So we talk, we're like, you know what, nursing is not for us, man. Let's leave it. So we left it. Then I went home and I told my mom, I'm coming from Rumbi's house. She was having a conversation with the dad. She doesn't want to do nursing. Wara. In that conversation, my mom was like, what? I'm like, yeah, but it's closing tomorrow. She forced me to go and take that newspaper.
Yeah.
At Rumbi's house. So I went, I took it.
That's
in the evening already. So I went, I took the newspaper, I show her. So the closing date is tomorrow. Obviously, I can't post it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's already in the evening. So she's like, tomorrow morning, you're going to write your application and you're going to take it in person.
Your mom saying this?
My mom is saying that to me. I'm like, I'm not interested in nursing. She was like, no, you are going to go there tomorrow and you're going to take it in person.
Mm-hmm.
And as a teenager, there are things that embarrass you. So I'm like, God, how am I going to take my application in hand to Harare Hospital? The hospital was Harare Hospital at that time.
Yeah. This is what age are you at this time? Like 17, 18?
18.
Okay, yeah.
So I wake up in the morning. I was not stubborn about it. So I write my application in an envelope and I go to Harare Hospital.
Okay.
I had to walk there. It was like 15 Ks.
You walk from home, 15 Ks to the hospital?
There was no money for taxi.
No money for taxi, yeah.
So I walk. I get to HR. I'm scared. Like my heart is beating so fast. I'm like, how do I even start?
Yeah.
So I get there. I asked them, where is HR? They showed me where it is. And then I walked in. So there's this lady and a gentleman. They're already sorting out the applications.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm standing there with like my legs full of dust, all sweaty and everything.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And nerves, like my nerves are going to kill me.
Yeah.
And then the lady asks like, okay, what do you want? I'm like, I want to apply, but I saw the advert late. So I brought my application. She's like, oh, okay, it's fine. Give me the application.
Mm-hmm.
So I give her the application. She looks at it. Then she tears it. I'm like,
oh my. Okay.
This is done. This is over.
Right.
I was so shocked when she said.
She just rips it up.
She rips it up, yeah. She reads it, she rips it up. But then she says, she takes a paper and she hands it to me, a bond paper. And then she says, you wrote it wrong. Can you sit down and reapply?
She chose the dramatic reveal.
So I'm there. I wrote, she gave me a simple application letter. I copy it. Yeah. And then I give her. She stamps it and puts it on the shortlisted candidates.
Wow. And then?
And then she was like, can you go to the clinic and have your medicals done?
So you've basically gotten the role?
Yeah.
On the spot like that?
On the spot, yeah.
Wow.
So I go to the clinic, I do my medicals.
Yeah.
I'm done, I go home, I tell my mom. And the one thing about my mom is if she's determined, she will pray about that.
Yes.
So I understand the power of prayer. I believe in the power of prayer.
So it's almost like she knew what was coming for you.
I don't know.
Because where did this come? I mean, I wanted to get to that point, but where did your mom all of a sudden say here's this newspaper advert, you come from your friend's house, she says to you, you better go tomorrow?
I don't know. Like up until now, I don't know. Because
presumably when you finished your A-levels immediately and then you started working at the Grain Marketing Board and all that stuff.
I had applied. I hadn't gone to, they had given me a clerical job, but I hadn't
But
gone.
she didn't intervene then and say, this is what you must apply for?
No, she didn't.
Okay.
She didn't. So, and to make matters worse, why I believe it was because of a prayer. At that time, there was this whole youth service thing that was happening in Zim.
Youth service?
Yeah. So after you finish your A-level, it's either you go to youth service before you go to university, or you go to university, finish university, do youth service before you can start employment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was like the rules.
They just introduced it.
Yeah.
So I didn't go for youth service. It was like, mini training, like military training.
Right.
And then, so the rule was no one can work in the government without that certificate.
Okay.
The youth service certificate. I didn't have it.
Yeah.
But still, she was like,
wow.
So I went, I did my medicals, I was done. And she was like, no, we'll send you a letter when you can come.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The letter never came.
Okay.
I'm at
weeks
home.
go by, months go by, or what?
Weeks go by, months go by. I was supposed to start in June.
Right.
This is July. This is August.
Yeah.
Nothing is happening. I'm
right.
Like, oh my God, did I fail the medicals or what?
Yes.
So luckily, I don't know if I should say luckily or because God had it in plan. One of the girls I went to church with, she had been taken for the same intake that I had applied for.
Okay.
And then she came to me, she was like, your name is being called in my class almost like every day. They're asking like, where are you?
Oh my word.
I'm like, girl, I didn't get the letter.
Yeah.
So then I went back to our hospital. I told them I didn't get the letter.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, no problem. You go in the next intake.
Okay.
So I finished everything. Like I signed everything day and day so that next intake I'm there. So that's how I got it.
It's amazing, eh?
Amazing.
The days of letters and posts and things. Because, I mean, if that happened nowadays, surely somebody would have called you and said, what's happening? Why haven't you responded? And luckily you had that friend there that said to you.
Yeah, you're being called. Your name is being called in the class every day.
So when was the next intake then?
September.
Okay, so the same year.
The same year, yeah. So
Do
there
you-
are 3 intakes.
Do you remember
January,
what year this was?
2004.
2004. Sure, 20 years ago.
Yep. Sounds so
Because
far.
we're in 2024 now. Okay.
Yeah, that's so far.
So you start in September?
Yeah, I started in September. I start working. You know, you do the whole students thingy.
No, well, don't brush over that because I don't know what the students thingy is in
Okay, so
nursing anywhere, let
So
alone
you-
Zimbabwe.
in Zim, if you're first year, you know, you have to go there. They give you uniforms, you know, for the first 3 months while you sort yourself out. They give you accommodation. I remember my mom was super excited when I started. She had to take me to res.
Okay. Yeah.
She made sure my bed is made.
Res, now where's the res is
At the
uni-
hospital.
At the hospital.
Yeah.
And the hospital is linked to the university.
Yeah, so it's a nursing school. So every major hospital in Zim had a nursing school.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was like a central hospital. We had a nursing school, yeah.
So she takes you there proudly,
She's
drops
so
you off.
excited.
She's not in tears and stuff, crying and
No,
my
she's-
baby's leaving home.
She was just super.
What were you doing at home in those months where you were waiting and waiting and waiting for that? Who's taking, like,
My friend, I went into temporary teaching for 2 terms.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So you did do some teaching.
Yeah, 2 terms, yeah. So my first term was at a primary school. I was teaching grade 1s and grade 2s.
Yeah?
The second term was at a high school. That one was madness.
Why? Like what?
Dude, I was like tiny.
Yeah.
And then I'm teaching, it was a boys' school.
Yeah.
Boys, like, they were big,
Yeah.
like they were tall. If I stand like in between them, I look like the student. So it was craziness.
You're the
And,
temporary teacher there. And they were,
yeah,
were they naughty kids and what?
you know, boys will be boys.
Yeah.
Jam. So, but it was okay because then I saved up money, you know, for stationery
Right.
and everything that I
Oh, so you're
needed,
getting
yeah.
paid in this temp job?
Yeah.
Sure. So you did teaching before you could even study to be a nurse.
Mhm.
Then you get into nursing, you start in September, your mom goes and proudly drops you off
Yeah.
there. She prays for you, obviously, there and, every other day.
Yeah.
You start now. What's nursing school like? How does it work?
was-
What is it, theory mostly?
Yeah,
Or?
the first 3 months is theory.
Yeah.
Okay, after theory, then you go to the wards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they have a schedule. You go to the wards for a certain time. You come back for theory. You go to the wards, come back for theory.
Okay.
And yeah, we were getting paid
How many people? You're getting paid to
Hmm?
to study.
a very good salary. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
This is the Zim government that pays.
Yeah.
So you're getting a salary or like a wage, or how does
I
it
don't know
work?
if you can say it, but it was like very close to the registered nurses already. So
Okay.
we didn't have to worry about accommodation, you know, lights, electricity, blah blah blah. All
you-
that was covered.
Did you have to get a bank account before you went to this place, or did you have that? Oh yeah, you were teaching before that, right?
Yeah. So
Because the first time I got a bank account was when I became a student, and
Is it?
the only reason is because my dad had to send me money every now and then.
oh yeah.
So I'm just wondering the logistics around that. Okay, so they're paying you well.
Yep.
You're studying. You do the 3 months of theory. You go into the wards.
Mhm.
What's happened? What's the wards now? Yeah.
Dude, that was it was a baptism of fire. I don't want
Yeah.
to lie. My first time in the ward, I went to a medical ward.
Yeah.
And mind you, 2004, that's when the whole HIV/AIDS pandemic thing is starting.
Yeah.
ARVs are not really available.
Oh.
And during that time, people don't want to get tested.
okay.
People
yeah.
don't want to
There's
know.
Big stigma attached to those times. Yeah.
Yeah, that time. So in Zim, you actually had to be on a waiting list. Let's say you test today, you're positive,
Yeah.
they put you on a waiting list
For what? Waiting list for what?
to get ARVs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there was available ARVs.
They were, but then there were pregnant women. I know they were first option. If you get tested
Oh.
and you're pregnant, first option, no waiting period. But if you're like someone else, waiting period. So most people deteriorated during that time.
Yeah, and this is now your first year of nursing school.
This is now my first year of nursing school. I go to a medical ward. It was a female medical ward.
Mm.
You had to shroud a body each and every single day. You walk into the ward. there's
That
a
means
body.
like you're telling me people are dying and you have to cover them
Yes.
up and send them.
And especially
every
if you're
day.
new, right?
Yeah.
All the students and the nurses, they just look at you like, this is what you've been taught. Come
Ah.
and do it. So we had to shroud bodies.
There's
each and
nobody's
every
spoon feeding you there.
No. No, they leave the dirty work for you.
How many bodies a day? Like, what was it? If you can remember.
1, 2.
1 or 2 a day, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So,
how did you handle that?
you know, I think the first week or two, it's quite emotional, right? A person dies, the family is told, they are screaming in the ward. You also go in a corner and you like, you know,
18-year-old girl. Yeah.
3 weeks down the line, dude, my tears were gone.
Yeah,
like I was
up.
like, I cannot be crying 2, 3 times a day, you know,
Yeah.
crying with the relatives. Not because you don't feel their pain, but it's physically exhausting.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get to that point, you're like, I'm so sorry, but no tears.
Was that the first time you saw a dead body?
Touch it, yeah.
Touch a dead body, yeah. I guess you'll have family members that might die as you're growing up.
Touch it, yes.
And you were, how did you handle it? Because some people are, you know, I don't know.
I was okay.
Yeah.
I think I was okay, but it kind of like the smell sticks.
Yeah.
You smell the body like for the whole day until you get used to it.
And what is shrouding the body now? What do you do? Like literally?
Like you have to put cotton wool in their nostrils, in their ears, their mouths, you know, fold them nicely, waiting for the undertaker to come and take them.
Do nurses do that here nowadays also?
I don't know if they do.
I never really thought about this because I never.
Yeah, you have to, especially that time, you know, those that had like full-blown AIDS, they would have messed themselves. So you have to clean it. You cannot, the undertaker is not going to take a dirty body. So you have to clean and then call them to come and take the body. So,
and now you must be, are you not also worrying now, am I going to get sick myself and all sorts of things go through your mind or not really? Because you've been trained to know how it works.
I wasn't worried about that, eh? I don't know why, but I wasn't.
But were people worried about that kind of thing?
Yeah. Like lots of them, you know, sometimes it was very sad because, they are sick. No one applies for it. The last thing you want to do is to make it worse, right?
Yeah.
And I also remember in that ward, I would never forget that lady. So I go and work in the ward, right? So what they would do is like those ones that I've got that are very sick, they were put like at the end, you know, the last cubicle.
Yeah.
You know? So they are there, the last cubicle, that's where all the sickly ones are, you know, those ones that are just on a saline drip because there isn't much you can do for them.
Yeah, on their deathbed. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. So I go there. The people who came with the food would just leave the food on the table and go. The nurses wouldn't be bothered to feed them or anything. So I go, there's this lady lying there. She was the only one that time. So I asked her, like, are you not hungry? Because the breakfast plate was still there. The lunch plate was still there. I came in at 12:30. I'm like, are you not going to eat? She's like, I want to eat, but I can't.
Yeah.
I need someone to help me eat. So then I feed her. Then she says, you know, you're the first person to ask me if I want to eat.
Wow.
I'm like, you know? So we kind of like become friends. You can see she wanted someone to talk to. So she opens up about her life, you know, how she got to the state and all of that stuff. We became like very good friends.
Yeah.
And then I would actually cook for her.
Okay.
Because the food in the hospital, you know how it is.
Yeah, so you'd cook at res?
Yeah. Then bring it for her. She says, I feel for this, then I'll just go cook, you know, fresh and bring it to her. She had a daughter, I remember. The daughter was being looked after at some home or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
how long do you care for her? Like weeks, months?
I think a week. And then she passed on.
Gosh.
So I remember when I came in, you know, when you see the curtains around the bed, you know.
Gone.
She's gone. I was hurt.
Yeah.
Like.
Sure.
It wasn't easy, but yeah, life.
Yeah, that is really hectic.
It was hectic. It was hectic. But I think that's when I discovered, you know what? I think I was called to be a nurse. Because I never felt, you know, that judgmental.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah.
How did you get here? Or, you know, because we knew how it was transmitted, right? So everyone would just assume, well, you were being promiscuous and stuff like that. But that was not my position. I'm just there to look after you. So
yeah, and you were the first person that actually spoke to her and asked her, do you want to eat? Yeah. So you had some sort of empathy that others didn't have there. So you really felt like this is the right thing for me.
Yeah.
At the time. So that's medical ward. That's the baptism of fire. Then how does it work? How you rotate?
You rotate, yeah. So the principal from the nursing school is the one who drafts your rosters.
Yeah.
So she decides. So you work 6 weeks in a particular ward, then you move to the next, and yeah. And then from there, I went to the maternity ward. That was another baptism.
Yeah.
That was another baptism of fire I would never forget.
Yeah.
And it traumatized me for the rest of my life.
Why?
Dude.
Yeah.
That ward is hectic.
Yeah.
And remember, this is a central hospital. All the complicated cases come to this hospital.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're there, you need to do a certain number of deliveries. You need to,
So
I'm 19 now,
yeah,
and I'm working in a maternity ward,
yeah.
helping women give birth. Not just normal pregnancies, complicated pregnancies.
So what do you do in those procedures? What is your role?
So you need to be monitored, right? So you have someone who's supervising you. So you choose a case. I want to do this case, and then she comes and supervises you. Yeah.
Who supervises you?
The midwives there.
Okay. And where are the doctors throughout this whole?
No, they're there. They're
Yeah.
only called when they need to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you develop like good rapport and relationships with the team and the doctors, or
With the team, yeah? With the team, yes, I think so. But you know how it is, Mos. Like
I don't.
For some, yeah, you click. For some, it just doesn't work.
Okay. And the
So-
doctors, how do they treat nurses in that? Is it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a doctor's thing. Maybe you can tell me.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't.
there's always this looking down upon nurses kind of thingy, kind
Okay.
of vibe.
Yeah. There's like what they. So what, do they not speak nicely, or
Yeah.
very abrupt and
Mhm.
just give you instructions and tell you to do things? Do they shout and things like that?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes they do, yeah. Sometimes they do. Sometimes when you call them, they just ignore you.
Okay.
I remember the other time, because the doctors also had their residence like behind the nurses' residence.
Right.
You call a doctor and he will tell you, I'm not in town, whereas is back there
Oh,
drinking or something like
okay,
that. So
yeah.
if you continue calling him, when he comes,
Yeah.
he's going to just give it to you.
And that's interesting. And the patients, they're all presumably like lower socioeconomic status,
Yeah.
poorer patients.
Yeah.
This is a state facility, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So most of them are I just want to give birth and get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the maternity.
Maternity ward, yeah.
Then what else comes? Anything else stand out to you, like in your studying?
Maternity ward comes and goes. Then I get ComServe.
Right. What's ComServe now?
Community. You have to go to the community. So you go to one clinic in the urban area, then you have to go to the rural areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so I go to the rural areas. My first one was it was far. It was far. So you get there, there's a clinic.
Yeah.
You have to run the clinic with the registered nurse. There are things that you need to do there, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember.
What do you do? Like take people's blood pressure?
Yeah.
All the.
Dispense medication.
Yeah.
Those that come for repeats. And where I went the first time, there's predominantly the white government churches that look down on family planning.
Right.
They just say you need to the Lord said, be fruitful and multiply.
Okay.
So the men look down on family planning, or the church itself. So the women would come secretly to family planning at the clinic. Some come for the injection, some come for the pill.
Yeah.
So those that come for the pill, they've got their own little compartment. They come, they take their pill, they put it back. They come back tomorrow again, take their pill, put it back.
To maintain that confidentiality from their spouses.
From the spouses and from the church.
But how does the church get involved? I mean,
it's
presumably, if you let's just say if you had to prescribe and give a woman birth control pills, right?
Yeah.
I would only assume it's, if you're keeping it at the facility, then it's to keep it away from the spouse.
Yeah.
But now it is the spouse will bring it up in church and things like that.
Yeah. Look, you know what, with religion, right? There are doctrines. So the doctrine is family planning is killing.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're in the church, you're married in the church, you follow what the church says, but then you realize I cannot be giving birth each and every year, So they come to that realization, you know what, whatever. Yeah. The church is saying this, but for my sake, I'm just going to go and get family planning and look after myself.
It's interesting though that the clinics actually catered for this kind of thing though.
We did.
Because I've heard of these stories. I don't know if you've heard them too, but in South Africa, like even though, for example, things like abortion is legal in South Africa.
Yeah.
I've heard that it's sometimes very difficult for people to actually get access to these facilities because they get turned away even at the facilities that are supposed to be doing it.
Yeah. So we did. We had to. I mean, it's a patient. You can't turn them away. That's their choice.
Yes.
So we do as much as we can just to, so that they get the help, and we did it.
Their autonomy was actually respected at these facilities.
It was actually.
That's interesting. It's amazing. Yeah. So how long is studying nursing? In
3 years.
3 years? Sheesh. So this carries on for 3 years. You rotate, you go.
You rotate, yeah. 3 years. Then my last attachment was at another place in the rural areas.
Mm.
There also I got traumatized to the
Right.
last.
Tell me. Tell me more.
To the last. So we're working also at a clinic first.
Yeah.
And then we go to like the hospital. It's a hospital, Nyana. It's, you know, it covers that small area and stuff. So the clinic where we're working, you have to stay there. So we stay there.
Okay.
You know, we are not morning. I'm not a morning person.
Okay, yeah.
But in the rural areas, people wake up so early.
Yeah.
So 6 o'clock, 6:30, they're already queuing at the clinic.
Right.
Right? You're waking up,
Yeah.
you want to bath, you're opening the window, and the queue is from here to wherever.
Yeah.
You know, they see you and they think you don't care because they've been waiting in the queue. Was you busy? You guys are busy sleeping.
Yes.
I'm like, so then we had to adjust. I'm like, guys, let's just do it. Let's just wake up, clear the line, and then we can do whatever we need to do after that.
What was so you like one of the leaders of the?
I had to.
Yeah.
I had to step in because it wasn't looking nice. And, you know, these complaints, they might end up being taken to your hospital and who knows what will happen.
So
we
patients
just
did complain and things like those days?
They would complain. They did understand that we start work at 8.
Yeah.
They wanted to be attended to as soon as they arrive.
Yeah.
But so we decided, okay, let's just do it their way.
Okay. So you adapted to the new surroundings.
We did. And then I moved to the hospital.
Right.
So the hospital... It was a small Nyana hospital, you know, like they didn't have like everything there. So there's this girl that comes. She's 16.
Yeah.
She's coming. She's pregnant. Second child.
Right.
Already you're like 16.
Yeah.
Second child.
Yeah.
Right. So she comes. She's due. I'm monitoring her. Right. Like it's 10 centimeters already. I'm monitoring her. But then you do your test and you're like, the baby. It feels the baby is big.
Okay.
So I tell the midwife, the baby is big.
Yeah.
She's dilated 10 centimeters, but the baby is big. I think we need to do an episiotomy. Then the midwife said no, she can push.
Yeah.
So I go first time. I go second time. She still maintains no, she can push.
Yeah.
At that time, I can see the skin thinning, you know, she's tearing.
Okay.
I go the third time, I'm like, she's tearing. She still insists no, she can push.
Yeah.
So the girl, you know, it's 10 centimeters already. The edge to push is there. She just pushed. Dude, she exploded. Like, she tore.
Yeah.
So badly.
Right.
Like, it was just, like...
This stands out to you, hey? Like, you'll never forget this.
I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to sew that?
Yes. So you have to do all of this, eh?
Yeah. So I tried to do it.
Yeah.
But then because, you know, it's so ragged, the meat was coming off. And, God, I would never forget that.
Yeah.
I would never forget that. She actually had to have the sewing done in theater. It was that bad.
Sheesh.
So, like, from that time, I told myself, you know what? Even if I ever get pregnant, I ain't pushing.
Yeah.
Because it's stuck in my head so much. Even up to now, I just...
Traumatized you from nursing school.
I was traumatized. And I didn't even get to see, you know, like, was she fine? You know?
Oh, okay.
And
because then once the patient's done, you move on. That's how it works.
And then I come back from attachment. I come back to our hospital.
Yeah.
The nurses go on strike.
Okay.
This is now my 3rd year.
Right, finally.
So nurses were striking left, right, and center at that time because things were starting to become really bad.
Like what?
Salaries, like inflation, everything.
Yeah.
So nurses would go on strike. So the 3rd year students had to take over management of the wards.
Okay.
So then I had to manage a ward.
Wow.
As a 3rd year student.
That's unheard of, right?
Yeah. Because there are decisions that you can't make. There are injections that you can't give.
Right. But you have to do it.
No, we didn't do it.
Okay.
The sisters had to swap. They had to rotate in the matrons because they're not allowed to strike.
So that's a disruptive thing. How does that affect final year? Do you still go through and pass?
It affects because your time to study is like, you know, it's limited. When you get to your res, you are so exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't, but it worked out.
It worked out.
I don't know how.
You finished in 2007.
Yeah.
And then what happens after that?
I qualify 2007. I graduate.
Yeah.
And then I'm posted to the Benz unit.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also in Harare Hospital.
Yeah, same hospital.
Right.
Benz unit.
Was it a busy unit? Like, are people getting burnt a lot there?
At that time, I don't know what was happening, but people, you know, trying to commit suicide, douse themselves with paraffin or petrol, light themselves. There were also like a lot of electric bands,
Right.
things like that. So it was both the adult and the PIDs.
Yeah.
And I should say PIDs was the worst because
Right.
those little things, we had to hold them down to
Yeah.
clean the bands. And they would be screaming and shouting and everything.
Phew.
It was the worst. So I think I worked in PIDs for like 2 months. And then I went to the adult ward. So the adult ward was better.
Yeah.
I can't say better as in, better, but
Yeah.
you don't have to hold them
More
down.
tolerable for the clinician themselves, right?
But it was hectic. And that time I had gotten married.
Yeah.
I'm pregnant.
Okay.
First trimester.
Right.
Morning sickness, the smells.
Oh my goodness.
Everything of that sort. But I did it. I did it. I would scrub the bands. I would dress them. Yeah, without vomiting.
And then did you become like a burns expert type of thing?
Kinda, I think I would say.
Okay.
But then again, things were worse now.
Right.
In Zimbabwe, like the hospitals didn't have medication.
Yeah.
They didn't have bandages.
Yeah.
So relatives had to buy everything.
Right.
And then you've got those ones that have been moved maybe from a rural area to Harare because their bands required that much attention.
Okay.
They didn't have anything.
Yeah, because Harare is like the big city.
Yeah.
That's because I think even in South Africa, there's not, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not that many burns units and there's only specialized places that do it.
Yeah, I think so.
You've got to Okay.
It was hard. So that time, things are bad. Hospitals don't have medication. And for burns, you need to scrub them with solutions and stuff. And we didn't have.
Okay.
We're just using plain water. And that was my first time seeing maggots on a living person.
Okay.
Because...
Yeah, it
was
eye-opening.
hectic.
It's sounding like this is now the transition from you being in nursing to out of nursing. Am I right? Or
yeah, amazingly, I still felt I needed to do it. And I got to a point where I would bring salt from home.
Yeah.
Just to put in the water at least.
Okay.
You know? So at that time, those that had relatives, we would remove the bandages, give them to the relatives to go and wash.
Okay.
And bring back tomorrow so that we can use them on their patients. Those that didn't have, they didn't have. We'll just scrub them, try and cover them with pillowcases or sheets. But then again, we would run out because the unit is full.
Wow.
So at that time, that's when, for the first time, I saw maggots on a living, breathing person.
And it's not due to like neglect or anything. It's just the resources.
We didn't have anything to use.
That's terrible, eh?
It was terrible. So I remember this one boy. He came from the rural areas. They said he was electrocuted whilst heading cattle or something. So like with electricity, there's an entry and an exit, and the exit is mostly like the west part.
Okay.
So entry was the foot, exit was the axilla.
Yeah.
So he's in the ward. They are poor. They are poor and stuff. So we try by all means, and then the maggots started coming out.
Yeah.
Like from the axilla.
Right.
So in the morning you clean up, right?
Yeah.
You remove them, you put in a bucket, you go throw away. So because I had a little bit of salt, then I'll put a little bit of salt.
Yeah.
Before you go home in the evening, the maggots are already...
Small.
Yeah. Show me. Tomorrow morning when you're coming, they're like this big.
So how does that end up? What happens to that kid?
He ended up getting an amputation, the leg and the arm.
Wow.
But it was... I'll never forget that time. It was, you want to do your best for the patients, but there were no resources.
Yeah, no matter what you do, you're fighting a losing battle against the resources. And is that because of the state or?
The state.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and were you pregnant with your first
child?
Kid?
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
2.
2?
Yeah.
2 boys, huh?
2 boys, yeah.
And so how do you presumably you give birth, you take maternity leave. How do you end up in South Africa? Or what happens between then?
So, my then boyfriend got a job 6 months into our relationship.
Yeah.
And then he moved this side.
Okay.
So I stay in because I'm still in school. So I finished my nursing school. And then I have to stay there because I need to serve, right?
Okay.
So I serve.
What do you mean? Explain that to me. You have to do a few years or what?
Yeah, they call it bonding. So you need to serve the government, right? Because they were paying you. So you need to provide your services to the government before they can allow you to. Yeah, they still pay you. But then the salary was it was nothing, eh?
Yeah.
It was nothing. So the bulk of whatever I got was from this side. My salary was
from
not
where?
buying anything. From South Africa, from my husband.
Oh, okay. So he was sending money back home.
And groceries, because it was that bad. It was really bad.
Because you have a son there now.
Mm-mm.
No, not really.
I was not. So what happened is I did my year.
Yeah.
So when you got married, I would do 1 week here, 1 week in Zim. So I would work night shift. 1 week night shift, 1 week off, I come to South Africa.
And do what?
So I did that for the year.
What?
To be with a guy.
Oh, okay.
So I go back.
Yeah.
So until I was like 8 months pregnant. So I permanently moved here when I was 8 months pregnant.
Okay. That must have been tiring, like physically.
It was
up
tiring.
and down.
It was tiring, but it needed to be done.
And you're working, you're pregnant,
Mhm.
you come into South Africa, going back, then eventually you say, okay, 8 months is now cut off.
It's like because I needed to give birth this side. I was not gonna give birth in Zim.
Right, why?
So why? Because I was still gonna move here anyway.
Okay.
So 8 months, it was January, I think. Yeah, January. Then I came to South Africa.
So that was the plan. You were gonna your husband's here now, you're gonna settle down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I moved. But before that, there's this one interesting thing that happened.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was 8 months pregnant. That was in December, right? So we drove from South Africa to Zimbabwe at that time.
Okay.
I was heavily pregnant. Like my tummy was just big.
Yeah.
So we get home in the morning and it's raining, right?
Okay.
So like
Joburg.
where we stay, in Zimbabwe.
Oh, okay.
We're going back to Zimbabwe.
All
yeah.
right, yeah.
So where we stay, it's like a corner and it's like one of the main roads that people use. you know, in the location. So this lady is going to the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? We got there in the morning. It's raining. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. My feet are swollen. You're 8 months pregnant. You don't want anything. So I'm sitting in the house. I'm trying to just catch my breath and breathe. So Mr. Chigudu is busy offloading things from the car.
Yeah.
Right? We are sitting in the house with my other sister-in-law. So we're sitting there. Then we hear like noise from outside. I'm like, I wasn't even like interested. I was like, you know what? People are in the street, whatever. And it's a ghetto, almost. It's noisy. That's how it is.
Okay.
So my husband comes in and says, there's someone that needs help outside. So my answer was help. Just help them.
Yeah.
Because I thought it's just like...
You're not asking me for help, are you?
Like, really?
Yeah, look at me.
Look at me.
Yeah.
So he goes back out, then he comes back again. It's like, no, it needs a lady. I'm like...
Okay.
Of all the ladies, why me?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize at that time that this pregnant lady was about to give birth by the gate.
Okay.
She had walked.
Yeah.
She was on her way to the clinic. And then she just needed to push.
Yeah.
It was raining, one. She said she can't go on because the baby is like... So they call me like, no, you have to come and help her, whatever. So I go out there. When I lift a skirt, the head is already coming out.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no time for gloves. And I did not even have gloves. Where was I going to get gloves? At home.
Yes.
I just received the baby with my bare hands.
Right? Wow.
Yeah,
and
in the rain.
You're heavily pregnant also.
I'm heavily pregnant also.
Oh my goodness.
With my bare hands.
Yeah.
I got hold of the baby because if I had delayed, the baby was just going to go on the ground. So I grabbed the baby. Then I called for my sister-in-law. She had a fleece thingy. She gave me the fleece thing. We cover the baby.
Yeah.
But then we don't have anything to cut the cord.
Right.
So I'm thinking, give us blades, like shaving blades. Give us a blade. We cut with the blade.
You're screaming to your husband this also.
Yeah. we cut with the blade. We tie it with string.
Oh, he goes and gets shaving.
Yeah.
Okay. At least he helps somehow.
Dude, it was hectic. This lady is now there.
Yeah.
We are thinking, oh my God, she needs to go to the hospital. So I decided not to pull out the what do you call it? Placenta.
Right.
Because then I thought, what if because she didn't have an injection, right, to stop the bleeding. So I'm like, let me leave it intact.
Luckily, yeah.
And then we take it to the clinic. So we put plastics in the car, put it in the car. They take it to the clinic.
Your car?
Yeah, our car. They take it to the clinic with the baby. And then I think everything went well. So
Mr. Chigudu is the ambulance driver in this case.
He's the ambulance driver. So it drops the woman off at the clinic. Then the husband also came and happy family.
Wow.
Yeah. So in my culture, if someone helps you to give birth, you need to thank them.
Right.
So she came like I think a week or two with the husband. Yeah. It was so touching, to see the little baby, all good, nice and everything. Bought me a very nice set of plates and cups.
But
and
she is super lucky that this happened outside somebody who's skilled and trained.
Dude, that was like, I think that was
babies.
A highlight for me. Like
that's amazing. That's an amazing story.
In my whole life, yeah.
Okay.
So that's December.
Yeah.
January was my last. Then I came to South Africa.
Yeah.
For good.
And what was the plan? Were you planning on working here or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I came, but first I needed to give birth and just get that out of the way.
Right.
And then I applied, for registration. It takes a long time. It took me 2 years.
What registration now? Tell our
You need
listeners.
to register with the South African Nurses Council. But then again, in order to do that, you need to go through the Foreign Qualifications Board or something of that sort. Then they contact your nursing council in Zim. They send everything here. After that, you have to write a test.
Okay.
Yeah, when you pass, then you can be registered with the Nurses Council.
So you do all of that?
Yeah.
After...
And it took me 2 years.
2 weeks?
2 years.
2 years, okay. So your son is 2 years old at the time. And then you start working, or what happens?
Yeah, I started working.
Where?
I started this old age home.
Right. In Joburg somewhere.
Yeah, in Joburg. It wasn't hard. It was just...
Is it easy to get a job, or are they looking for nurses?
Yeah.
It's not like you have to battle to get a...
No. You actually choose, do I want to do it or don't I want to do it? So yeah, I got a job there, but then we moved to Pretoria. I stopped working there. And then I got a job at this Jewish place. It's a Jewish home for the disabled.
Right.
And those who are mentally challenged. So I worked there as a night nurse supervisor. It was a year contract. Finished that, left that, I worked at clinics, but for a very short time.
Clinics as in the name of the group, the hospital group.
Yeah.
CLINIX.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I went to clinics, I had already applied at MSO, which was managed care.
MSO?
Yeah, MSO, Medical Services Organization.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all the whole medical aid thingy. So I applied there as...
What do you mean the medical aid thingy? Like, what is MSO? What do they do?
They manage medical aid. So expenditure, everything. So you are those people who look at medical aids, you grant authorizations for admissions, procedures.
So you're not doing clinical work then. So after clinics, which was your last clinical...
Clinics, I was like there for a month.
Yeah.
So I went to clinics because MSO took time to respond. So I thought I didn't get it.
Right.
So then clinics had an opportunity. I went there. They were looking for registered nurses like no man's business. So I get there, and in my first week, I'm already the deputy sister in charge.
Wow.
That was too much for me. It was a lot.
All right. A lot of responsibilities, or...
Yeah, responsibilities, first of all. And then number two, the people's attitude. People were like, why do we need to get a nurse from Zim to be above us?
Oh, is that it? Or is that what you mean by people's attitude?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
So
pushed.
People just look down on you because you're from Zim?
Yeah. Why should we get someone who's not from here?
to now be in charge of us?
Yeah, and make us speak English all the time.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I never thought about that.
There's, what do you call it? Language barrier.
Yeah.
So I had to use English.
Oh.
So they don't, or maybe they
What
can't.
language were they mostly speaking?
Mixed. Sotho, Pedi.
And you're not fluent in those? You can't?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I can hear what they're saying, but I can't answer.
Okay.
So that was the biggest challenge for me. And also the ward that I was in, it was a medical ward. They're elderly people. They honestly speaking, you can't expect them to be speaking English.
No, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't get the message across, things like that. So I was like, you know what? But then I was willing to stay there because that's the opportunity that I had. But then a month after starting the Medical Service Organization respond and says, come to work.
Response to what?
To my application. So I leave the hospital and I go into managed care.
So you obviously applied for this.
Yeah.
Which tells me that somewhere along the line you're thinking, okay, working with patients, doing clinical work is no longer my thing.
Yeah. At some time you just get tired of wiping people's behinds.
When do you discover that? Okay, so you're getting tired of the...
Yeah. And then also because I discovered in South Africa, there are so many avenues for nurses, to pursue. Unlike in my country at that time, if you're a nurse, you're a nurse. We expect to see you in the hospital or in the clinic.
I get you.
But when I come to South Africa, I'm looking at the job opportunities. I'm like, oh my God, this is so diverse.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, let me try this one.
Right.
And I tried and I got it.
But how do you figure out all these things? Because so you come, presumably when you come from Zimbabwe, and I'm assuming now, tell me if I'm wrong, you don't know many people.
Yeah.
You just know your hubby and his friends.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out now about these opportunities and stuff? Do you start...
Internet?
The internet. You research, you take your own initiative and you start Googling and you find these things. Then you see MSO managed
care. I was like, you know what? Whatever, I can do this. Answering calls, I can do it.
Oh, because on the job application or the vacancy, it tells you need to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, so I do it. Then they call me. I do their online exam. I
Yeah.
passed that one, but then they didn't call me back. So I thought maybe I failed.
Okay.
But then they called me a month into my working at clinics.
I was going to say, I hope it's not like the application to nursing school where they actually just you were accepted, but nobody contacted you.
Yeah. So they called me and say, you need to start.
Yeah.
It was like a week when they called me, you need to start next week. Clinics, it was like a month
Yeah.
on the dot. I had to resign immediately.
And you knew you could do, because all that stuff that's listed on the job spec, you knew,
Yeah.
were you doing all of that in? No, you weren't, obviously.
I wasn't. But
So how did you know you can do it?
Nah, dude. There's some things that when you look at, you're like, anyone that went to school can do it.
All right.
Answer a phone,
yeah,
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get it, and then
So
that's your journey out of clinical. Yes. Was that the last time you saw a patient or touched a patient?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't.
But before you get there, tell me, so you get into managed care now. Mm-hmm. You are basically explain what that is, because you said it's about medical aid authorizations.
So managed care is, most medical aids don't manage their own medical aids. You know, they go to managed care companies. Mm-hmm. So managed care companies are responsible for, authorizations.
Yeah.
So basically they are managing the spend when it comes to in-hospital admission.
Right.
So that's the department I was in. It was in-hospital management.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I did. So patients or doctors' rooms or hospitals would call. Yeah. They request an authorization for admission. For patients, they request authorizations for prosthesis.
Yeah.
Authorizations for scans. So you have to look at the patient. How much do they have? Yeah. Their benefits. If they still have, you approve. If they don't.
Are you looking at the clinical stuff also? Like this information they send in?
It was actually very important that you had to be a clinical person for that job.
And you can make decisions to like decline things and say, I don't recommend it. Maybe this is not indicated for this condition and things like that.
And the doctors hated that for it.
Yes. Yeah. That's quite a big, important gatekeeping role.
It was very important because it had to be on the phone with the doctor or the patient or whoever. Yeah. And you need to make that decision in 3 minutes.
Phew.
We're going to approve or not, or motivate.
And a doctor's rude to you there also on the phone. Like, what do they say?
Obviously, they want to do a procedure. You're telling them, no, we're not paying for it.
What did they say to you?
They're like, should I bring this patient to you? I think that's one of the...
Do they always say that? Must I bring this patient so you can check them?
Must I bring this patient to you so that you can treat them? It was one of the common answers. Must I bring this patient to you?
And then do they ever say, I want to speak to the manager?
Yeah. I need to speak to the team leader. I need to speak to whoever.
And you have to escalate it. And
you have to escalate, yeah.
Okay. So how long do you do that role?
3 years.
3 years? Mm-hmm. Sure. And then what's next?
3 years, I moved to another company. Yeah. But then I was going to do case management then. So case management was, they're already in hospital. Okay. You have to manage the spend in hospital for someone that's already admitted. Okay. So it's from admission to discharge and post-discharge if they need care after discharge. Okay. So then I went to work there. I worked there for some time, I think for about 6 months. And then the company was downsizing because one of the major medical aids they were working with was moving. Okay. So because I was like, in the job, I was like, I think I was one of the case managers working with that medical aid. Right. So they thought, you know what, for consistency's sake, we're going to move with you. So I left that and went to Universal. And then I went with that medical aid.
And you're doing the same thing?
And I was doing the same thing. And in as much as it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of clinical, management involved, there was a lot.
To me, it sounds like a lot. It
is a lot because you had to manage from neonates to geriatrics. So you manage admission from a newborn baby that needs neonatal ICU to a geriatric.
And you have to understand all this
stuff.
You
have to understand all this stuff.
You can't just throw me there like as a dentist and I can do this job.
It was hard though, because at a certain point you're deciding, okay, this baby is done with neonatal ICU A, they have to go to neonatal ICU B. So you have to read everything. Baby is this weight, baby is able to feed, baby is this, and you're like, okay, medical aid is not going to pay for neonatal ICU A anymore. Yeah. They need to move to B. And then same thing with ICU for adults. You're like, okay, patient is breathing on their own. Why are they lying in ICU? You have to ask those questions.
Is there no risk that you can just approve everything? Just be approve.
No.
Why?
It would work against your...
How does it get
your
checked?
Objectives.
You have objectives.
Yeah, we have objectives and we had like a target. You have to save in a month, I think 150,000.
Wow, okay.
So that comes from negotiating with the hospitals, rates,
right?
Making sure that a patient that does not need to be in ICU is not in ICU. Okay. And also making sure that when you approve, it's according to the grade, it's according to, what they have.
The protocols and the guidelines and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was nice, but it was hard.
Yeah, that's quite a big responsibility also.
It is. And motivations, doctors will motivate and you still feel no,
Yeah.
you did not give us enough information, so we are not going to approve it. And then they would get super angry.
Mhm.
You know, doctors and admin.
Yeah.
So they write the first motivation, you're like, nah, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
If they have to write a second one, we were told all sorts of names.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
we were told off so many
You're
times.
giving them
But
extra paperwork.
yeah, but you still have to be firm. Like,
Yeah.
no, we're
It's-
not going to pay it.
It's funny because that you're talking about doctors and doing admin, right?
Yeah.
And I know this because in your current job, we work together. You ended up writing an article, I believe,
about
about
admin.
the importance of admin.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did you end up from that to where you are now at MPS South Africa?
MPS South Africa. That was an interesting one because that happened in lockdown.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're called in lockdown and they offer you a job,
Yeah.
people are losing jobs,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You are resigning.
Yeah. It's a tough time.
Lockdown. It was a tough time. Yeah. So people ask me like, are you for real? Are you resigning
Yeah.
in lockdown? And if you go to that company, it's obviously if they need to downsize,
It's a
then you're
risk.
the first out.
It's a big risk. Yeah.
It's a big risk. Yeah. But I took it. And
so you were also, you were still looking, you were in the market. You don't close your
no, you don't.
options.
You want to grow as much as you can.
Yeah.
And you want to go into all, different areas, but still maintaining your clinical side.
And what do you do at MPS? What's your role?
Case manager.
Yeah.
Again.
That's the title, but what is your job actually? What do you do on it? You wake up in the morning?
Yeah. I wake up in the morning, caseload. I get cases allocated to me. So this is about doctors or the medical field or allied healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to give them guidance or,
On what?
when it comes to ethics of the practice.
Yeah.
A bit of how the law says they should handle stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come to you before they even do it.
Yeah.
And then you guide them like, okay, you're supposed to do it like this.
Yes.
Sometimes they come to you and they've already done it. You're trying to mitigate.
Yes.
In instances like that. And then those that have got cases at the board, they've been reported or someone has complained.
The Health Professions Council.
Council. Yeah, you try and make sure they get the most favorable outcome out of that. Yeah.
So,
and also presentations.
Oh yeah, you do talks on ethics and all sorts of things like
I
that.
love that a lot.
Did you know you were going to be doing all this kind of work before you applied?
No, not at all. I don't even know how I read the advert. Like, how did I even read what was expected of me? Because I do not remember. So
if I told you, let's just say you were still a case manager at Universal.
Yeah.
And if I wrote out this job spec of what you're actually doing now, and I said to you, Letty, do you want to apply? Do you think you would have applied?
I would think I'm not qualified for it.
Okay. But you're doing it, eh? And you're doing it well.
Yeah.
The reason why because I know the answer to that question, almost. I think I knew the answer to that question.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is because it's important to sometimes, I feel like, apply for things that you don't even think you can do because you actually can do them.
Yeah, think out of the box.
How did you end up, how did you become able to do these things? I mean, did you, at Universal or wherever in your past, you weren't writing letters of advice to doctors and dentists and
who
things?
Who can advise a doctor? When I was at Universal, I was like, who can advise a doctor? Because doctors used to ask us, like, were you at my medical school? Like, I didn't see you in the corridors of medical.
Yeah.
Dude, that was but you never think,
you learn.
I'm going to say something to a doctor and they're going to listen to me.
Yes. And now that's, you're sending them letters and they're thanking you for the advice and the assistance.
Amazing, yeah? Shocking.
How does that happen? How do you come from that? From what? Like, what's the transition? Like, you learn on the job, you get trained.
You learn on the job.
You speak to people.
I speak to people. I had a mentor.
You read.
Very good one.
Yeah.
He's sitting with me right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's funny because I wasn't going to use the opportunity. I knew you were going to say that, but I'll ask it later.
Yeah.
So you're comfortable. And so now you're helping doctors and dentists when they need the help, right? You're helping the ones that we usually go to for help clinically.
Yeah.
And now when they have medical legal issues, you advise them, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Now you worked in Zim and South Africa.
Yeah.
How does it compare?
Very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different. In South Africa, that's when I realized, okay, you can be a nurse and be something else. You can be a nurse and be in corporate. In Zim, we always thought if you're a nurse, you're at the hospital or you are at the clinic.
Okay.
That's it. But when I came this side, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I can do so much with this,
Yes.
this nursing qualification. Maybe things have changed now in Zimbabwe, I'm not sure.
Right.
But yeah, there's so many opportunities for nurses in South Africa. And, just to my fellow nurses, please, the hospital is not your last.
Yeah.
There's a lot to discover.
I mean,
out there.
tell people about, you've written a couple of articles, right? Do you remember what they're about?
Yeah, the first one was the admin.
Yeah, about the importance of admin.
Importance of admin for doctors.
Yeah.
And if they don't do it, it might potentially land them at the HPCSA, and it's actually expected of them to do it.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a case study.
Yeah.
Of when there was kind of like a fight between the hospital and the doctor. This one says no, the swab was left by this one. When a swab was left inside the patient,
there's a dispute about who left the swab.
There's a dispute, yeah. So they want to see, okay, who's to blame? Is it the nurse or is the doctor? How do we apportion it and stuff like that? So
did you ever think you'd ever be doing that kind of work? Huh?
I didn't even think I'll be writing anything for anyone to read.
It's amazing, eh? How things just happen and work out if you just
just try
put yourself out there and try, and you can do it.
You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah,
I
maybe
think everyone can do it. Just try it. Just take the leap.
Exactly. Now, I want to move on to more personal things, right? I know you're very involved in the church, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that? How it influences your professional, personal life?
I think it influences it a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you live by the Bible principles, then they apply wherever you are, at work, at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Bible says, whatever findeth your hand to do, do it as you're doing it unto the Lord.
Right.
And that's just how I do it. If I'm working, I don't do shortcuts. I give it my all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even whether I'm gonna be thanked for it or not, whatever my hand finds to do, I do it wholeheartedly as I'm doing it for the Lord.
I mean, I can vouch for that because I've worked with you, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, I'm thinking back to that patient that said to you, you know what, you're the first person that actually spoke to me.
Yep.
Like, I don't think you're thinking about the Bible when you do all of that, right? I mean, that's just, it comes naturally to you.
Naturally, yeah. I think maybe that's the working of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Because He lives in us, right?
Yeah.
And He influences us. He whispers to us things that we need to do. And yeah.
It's somehow, even unconsciously or subconsciously, you feel it.
And with nursing, I don't know if it's for everybody, but for you to become a nurse or to be in the medical field, you need to have respect for life.
For life, yeah.
For life, yeah. Every life is important, regardless of what's happening to them. I remember when I worked in the orthopedic ward, we had people that came there after being shot by the police.
Yeah.
Because they are robbers.
Right.
Or we would get people from prisons that would come to be treated.
Yes.
It's not my position to judge,
yeah,
and to withdraw management or to give them half-baked management because they're a thief or a robber. That's not my duty. The law is doing that already.
Yes.
So when a patient comes in the hospital, just treat them.
Yeah.
All life is precious. I mean, if they are still alive, it means God wants them to be alive, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
And I also feel like you probably care about people's dignity, because that woman at the end of the ward that was on her deathbed, you knew you can't preserve her life. But
but let her die in dignity, something like that. So for me, the joy that you would get when you do something for someone and then they say thank you, or you see they get better.
Yeah.
When they get discharged, they are way better than when they came in. Even if they don't say thank you, sister, or anything of that sort. But the joy of knowing that you made a difference in someone's life.
Yes.
And when you talk about dignity, I remember this one other time, this lady came, she had doused herself in paraffin, and then, she got bent, like the whole body.
Tried to kill herself, yeah?
Yeah. She was bent, like she was badly, badly bent.
Yeah.
And, I would just... You don't judge. You don't tell a person, how, Mara, you wanted to kill yourself for a man, things like that.
And it's easy to do that, as a human being, like
very easy.
Not a professional type of thing.
I treated her. She unfortunately passed away. But because of the way I treated her, she would tell her family, sister so and so. When she passed away, when the family came to take the body, they came to look for me in the ward. Just to say, you know what, we didn't know you, but our relative told us about you.
Wow.
And I was like, oh,
that's amazing.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when you treat people with dignity, with respect, you never know who you're going to meet in life. So there's this patient who came to the Benz unit. He was working for our electricity supply in Zimbabwe.
Right.
It's called ZESA, Zimbabwe Electricity Supply Authority.
Right.
So he had got electric bends, at work.
Yeah.
So he came. I treated him. He was discharged. At that time, I didn't know him, like, personally.
Yeah.
But then we went for a church conference.
Yeah.
I met him there.
Okay.
And then he's the one who first greeted me, like, "Sister, how are you?" I'm like, "I'm good."
Yeah.
Then he says, "Yeah, you forgot me. You treated me at our hospital." And in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh my God, we go to the same church."
Yeah.
Imagine if I had been nasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
What message was I going to be preaching there?
Yeah. And it's not like you did all of this because you
because I
are
knew
worried
him.
that somebody's gonna. Yeah.
So just be good. And I hear most people complaining about nurses' attitude.
Yeah.
And there is, there are nurses that, you would rather die at home than be in a hospital with nurses that shout at you and demean you.
Yes. Or they just don't want to. It's an effort for them to help you.
Yeah, it's not right.
Yeah.
It's not right. That's why I'm saying, if you want to be in this field, you have respect for life and respect for people. And it's not like the patients that I treated didn't say nasty words to me. They are in pain. When your life is in danger, or you feel like your life is in danger.
Yes.
We act irrationally.
Yes.
But you don't take it too hard. I think that's why Rotonwa calls me an ice queen.
She calls you what?
An ice queen.
Yeah. Ice queen. Oh, yes. I can vouch for that too.
Yeah, because
you are very stoic and strong, and
because
not much moves you. But I totally understand, having heard your story now, from the beginning to the end.
You can't because you can't do it, because
life has taught you things, and you've seen some.
And not only from patients, we used to work with matrons that were nasty.
Yeah.
That would shout at you for no reason. Everything. But if you want to take that to heart, you're not going to work that day.
Matrons, patients, doctors.
Yes. So you have to imagine if you're going to cry every time they shout at you.
Yeah.
But then again, I would like, take it. If it's like constructive criticism, you take it, you use it. If it's not.
That's a big if, because I'm sure a lot of the criticism is not constructive.
So then and with patients, I just learned, they might not be angry with me. Maybe they're just angry at the situation right now. It's not easy for an adult to come into a ward and not be able to do things that they used to do.
Yes.
Like sort of
simple things.
Yes. Like bathing yourself, like brushing your teeth. So they're frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you take that personally, then you won't survive. You won't survive.
I wonder, I feel like to be a good nurse or any clinician, actually, you've got to be doing it not because you just wanted it to be a means to an end.
Income, yeah. You have to want to do it. You have to be called, actually.
Yeah.
For nurses, they say you have to be called.
And I think you used the word, you were called, or it found you.
I was called.
And that probably explains it. Now, why am I always hearing about nurses moving to UAE and Dubai? And
for the cash.
What's happening? Are they sought after in these places?
Yeah.
For money? It's good money.
It is good money.
Did you ever think of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you do it?
Maybe.
Even now?
No.
Yeah.
Now, no. But I did.
Is clinical work ruled out for you now? You'll never do clinical work again? Or should you never say never?
No, I'm not going to go back to the hospital. That's what you're asking.
Okay.
No. Bedside.
So a lot of nurses are leaving Zim and South Africa and going to Saudi Arabia and all these places. The money is better. Are the working conditions better?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe they are, but I don't know.
All right.
But that's the one thing. I actually had started the process. They see your profile on LinkedIn as soon as they see registered nurse. They're like, we've got opportunities. So this other time I was sold, I actually saw it on Facebook. And they were like, yeah, we need nurses for the United States and stuff. They sell it to you so nicely.
They're recruiting. They're recruiting hard. They want it.
They are.
Because I think we are well trained here, our people.
Yeah, and also because for me, we use the British curriculum for our nurses training.
Okay.
So that's also an advantage for us. So I did that process, and then I got to a point where I asked myself,
you were planning on where to?
United States.
Yeah.
So I wrote their exam, passed, and then we're going on the next step of, getting verifications and stuff like that. But then I thought to myself, I left clinical nursing because I don't want to do clinical nursing anymore.
Yeah.
If I go to the United States, I'm going back to clinical nursing. I've just changed locations, but I sort of like went back on my
but you'd be
career.
earning dollars.
Nah, dude.
the dollars.
It's not all about the money. So I thought about it so hard. I'm like, do I just want the name United States, or I
Yeah.
want to grow my career?
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, where I am right now, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. I'm not going to take steps back just because I want
Yeah.
to be in the United States of America. Then I dropped it.
Okay. So you can see there's other ways to grow here. Yeah? Okay. We'll get to that at the end. I want to lighten things up a bit. Then we get to we'll wrap up after that. What's the one thing you miss most about Zim that you can't find in South Africa? Is there anything?
Yeah, the organic food.
Really? Organic food? Like, what do you mean? Like, the food is better?
It's better. It tastes better.
In Zim?
I can promise you, yeah.
Yeah?
It tastes better. The chicken tastes better. The beef tastes better.
Really?
It's more organic than it is this side.
Interesting. Because, people, when they come to South Africa from all over the world, like, wow, you guys have lovely tasting meat and
they
food.
They should go to Zim first.
They should go to Zim. Okay.
And also, like, our wild fruits.
Yeah?
Yeah. The ones that you'll never get in South Africa.
Oh, so there's lovely stuff there. Eh?
Yeah.
Some of us ignorant South Africans, we hear Zimbabwe and we think like,
terrible.
It's all, things are burning and doom and gloom. And
yeah, well, there's some truth to that.
Yeah, but there's beauty to it also. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you go back? Do you go and visit people there?
I do.
Yeah.
It's an hour 45 to fly to Zim.
Okay.
So you can actually go for the weekend and come back.
And you go and visit family and friends and things.
Because my mom and dad are still there, and my sister.
Your dad is retired a long time ago?
Yeah, long time ago.
Was he a security guard throughout his life?
Throughout.
Yeah, well, that's brilliant. What's the most beautiful place you've been to in South Africa? And what's the most beautiful place you've been to in Zimbabwe?
In South Africa, Cape Town.
South Africa's Cape Town? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. In Zim, Nyanga. It's called Nyanga. Yeah, it's your equivalent of Mpumalanga.
Okay.
God's window kind of vibe. Yeah.
So it's like big landscapes and nice.
Very nice, very beautiful weather, very beautiful vegetation. Beautiful. It's just beautiful. And the weather is like, it's not hot. It's nice. Beautiful landscape.
Okay. And if you could combine like one thing from South Africa and one thing from Zimbabwe to like make this perfect place, what would you put together? The food.
Organic food.
Yeah.
The organic food and the wild fruits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from South Africa?
From South Africa, the economy.
The economy. Okay. So it's still yeah. All right. The healthcare system in South Africa, you've been in both, right? What do you think needs to change in healthcare in South Africa to make this, or even in the society, to make this place a better place?
People's attitudes.
Attitudes?
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
Nasty.
Nasty?
Nasty. The fact that people have to sit on a wheelchair or on a stretcher bed in casualty for 2 days. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
I agree with you, but I still wonder, there must be a root cause of all of this.
Yeah.
My suspicion is that, as I said just now, I think it's because people are getting into healthcare
just for the money.
And I'm not saying this to like point fingers at people, because it makes sense. You have to make money, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know whether maybe there should be a different enrollment criteria or like application process to figure out who are the people that actually
want to be here.
Not want to
for the right reasons.
For the right reasons. There must be some way to filter these people out.
But how do we do that? People are good pretenders, eh?
Yeah. And it's difficult because we also need the resources. So you can't be very fussy and picky.
Yeah.
Okay, so people's attitudes.
Yeah. I think everything starts with attitude.
Okay. Yeah, I attitude improving attitudes will go a long way, I feel. Yeah, I agree with you. And then what's next? Any goals, any things you are like, how are you going to grow? What's the growth? If the USA was not worth it, do you have any plans that you're comfortable sharing? Do you have, do other things? I mean, I didn't touch on this, but I always see you're like quite heavily involved in women empowerment and women of substance. You're always going on conferences. You mentioned conferences, the church stuff. It's quite a big part of your life.
Yeah, it is. It is.
What is, I mean, and you look like one of the leaders there, or not really?
No, I was, I think, for about 10 years.
Yeah.
I was in the ladies' board for about 10 years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is it? What do you guys do?
Finances.
What do you guys do? It's like a community of women, yeah?
It's the church ladies. And we do activities, different activities together. So we do fun activities together. We do charity activities. We do, and then we do prayer. Like, January, every January, I go for prayers.
Okay.
With the ladies, yeah. And then this last September, we went, for fun, sport.
Yeah.
We went to Cape Town to play netball.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we've got different things. Like today, there was our end of year, and it was a charity thing because we're all, donating foodstuffs and stuff like that. Yeah, so we do everything, but yeah.
So it's like a community, and you also empowering women. Where are the
Yes.
boys? The boys that's at home, and what do they do?
The boys are doing what the boys do. Shem.
Okay.
And the boys, you mean my kids or Baba Chigudu as well?
I meant, yeah, both. All the boys and the men.
Baba Chigudu is actually in the church board as well, the
Okay.
main board,
Right.
and he's responsible for the church's finances
Okay.
and the church's administration. So he holds quite an important role in the church as well.
And the church is a big part of both of your lives, eh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Lovely.
The boys are still young. But my eldest, he helps sometimes with media, taking pictures and videos in church, yeah. The little one, oh my God, that one, no, shame, is still going to church to play.
And do they mention anything about what they want to be when they grow up and things like that?
They both want to be engineers.
Engineers?
Yes,
Like
their dad.
Like their dad, yeah. Okay, brilliant. Now, the next question is going to link up with that.
Yeah.
And I want you to answer me firstly in English and then in Shona, or
okay,
if you can,
okay,
because that'll be good. Hopefully, people in Zim watch and listen to this.
Yeah,
it is like YouTube and stuff.
Yeah,
quite accessible in Zim.
Very like it's
okay, brilliant. Okay, so this is the answer. I want you to give an answer to this question, right?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to young women considering a career in healthcare, or aiming to be a woman of substance in their own lives?
Okay, for a career in healthcare, like I said, you have to have respect for life. That's the first thing. If you know you don't care about people or you don't love humans, then don't.
Okay.
But it's a very good career.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now, because there are so many things you can do with your nursing qualification.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to end at the hospital.
Yeah.
Nurses are even opening practices, Now in South Africa, there's wound care nurses, there's home care, there's agencies that are being opened by nurses. And I also know of, nurses who are employing doctors. So you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
It opens up doors.
It opens up doors, yeah. The sky is the limit. I mean, if you want it, you can get it if you put enough effort and dedication into it.
Now do it in Shona.
Oh my God. Okay. Kune vese varada kuita basa reukoti. Ibasa rinovhura madhoo akawanda. Ibasa rinoita kuti uwane mwe mukana yakawandisa. Haungoperere muchipatara. Unokwanisa kuzvishandira. Unokwanisa even kushandirwa nemachiremba. So, but kana uchida kuva mukoti, unofanira kunge une rudo nevanhu. Unofanira kunge uchirespecta upenyu hwevanhu. Yeah.
Well said. Look at me.
You should learn, Shona, friend. You should
learn. You'll teach me.
You should.
Yeah, Chum, Queen V, Letty, Letmore, everything.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had a little bit of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I learned a lot, so thanks a lot.
And one question for you. Why are doctors nasty to nurses?
Why are doctors? I don't know. Remember, I was only a lawyer and a dentist, so you have to ask the doctors.
You did work with nurses.
You'll have to ask the doctor. Well, look, the next guest that I get on is probably going... Well, if they're a doctor, I'm going to ask them that question.
Please do. Okay? We just want to know, like, what did we do wrong? And
also, let me open up that question to the comments section, right?
Yeah.
Can people comment? Doctors, patients, whoever. Sister Chigudu wants to know why are
doctors nasty to nurses?
Okay, let's see what the feedback is and we'll bring it back for the next episode.
Please, I'm looking forward to reading the comments.
Awesome. Letty, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, cheers.